Hi BookTube, welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and I'm going to do the other autumnal book tag, the Cozy Autumn book tag. So I will send the creator of this tag, or at least someone doing this tag, and I will also post the questions when I upload this video, so you guys know the drill. I answer these series of questions with book-related answers. Okay, so question number 1. What book reminds you of fall or autumn? And I picked The Secret History by Donna Tartt. So this is basically this guy named Richard. He goes to this New England college this college in New Hampshire, and becomes part of this group of a very snobby group of kids who study with this one professor, and he's very selective of his students, and they're studying Greek. The Greek culture and the country and all of that, and there's an incident where they decide that one of them needs to be murdered, and it's all about, and in the beginning that you know who did it and why. It's all about kind of the lead up to it, what motivated them, and then the aftermath and how they deal with it, and Richard's reaction to the whole situation. And it kind of reminded me a little bit of The Great Gatsby, with what happens towards the climax of that. And the climax of that book, kind of similar situation, and how Nick Carraway kind of becomes part of this world, this weird world, and then by the end of it, he's like, I'm done with it. I don't want to be part of it anymore. It's kind of a similar situation. And I picked this one remind me of fall because, like, especially in the northern hemisphere, we start school around autumn time, what is considered autumn for us. So, and this is when he starts college for the first time, and it's in New England. For some reason, I associate the New England area with autumn. Like, they say autumn is in New York, autumn is a favorite time of year as far as the aesthetic of the state, and also just in New England, like Massachusetts and Pennsylvania and all those states, I just associate those with like autumn, that time of year, and along with school and studying and like academics, like I said, you start school around this time of year here in the northern hemisphere, so it just gives that same thing. It gives me that feel. And also, a lot of people read thrillers and murder mysteries around this time of year because they're like the spooky season. And this kind of involves, it's not exactly a mystery, like I said, but it still involves a murder. And are they going to get away with it? And how it affects them. Especially Richard, who hasn't been a part of this group until, quite recently. So, yes, this is the book I think of when I think of autumn. Although, I was thinking about that, and that's I never really think about that, though, I gotta admit, and it was kind of like, last year and this year when I was thinking about this, because I think I did this tag last year too, and thinking, okay, what's a book that could give you those kinds of vibes, and in this case, and it's the same thing with the second question as well, and so I picked, so this is kind of, this is not like I thought about this before, it was more like I just kind of thought about it recently when I was thinking about doing this tag. Okay, so question number 2 is, what is your favorite autumn book cover? So, like I said, this is also kind of I'm just deciding this as I'm thinking about doing this tag and preparing. So I chose Kate Morton's The Forgotten Garden. Just look at this setting and the image on the cover. It's the yellows and oranges and this goldish yellow gold color, and like the trees are kind of dead with brown, red, and orange leaves. See the orange right here. I mean, it just looks so like the autumn time of year. Now, this book, I don't think it entirely takes place in the autumn time. I think it kind of goes back and forth in time with different seasons and different time periods. But the cover, it feels very much like autumn. So that's my answer for that question. Okay, question number 3. What is your favorite autumnal drink to read with? I don't drink and read a lot. I mean, sometimes if I'm trying to finish my coffee and I want to get a book read, like especially on when I have to go to work and I want to get some reading done before I go to work, then I might read then. But usually I finish my coffee first, and because it's just hard to eat and drink at the same time for me because it's like I get caught up in the story or I'm worried about making a mess. And sometimes I have to hold because I'm trying to hold the food, have the food in my hand or hold my glass or mug. So it's a little bit hard to eat and drink and read at the same time. And I think there's a question about favorite snack. But I do have an answer, and these are just my general favorite tumble drinks. Starbucks always has their pumpkin spice latte. I love pumpkin spice latte. We do have pumpkin spice latte in like a little Starbucks package but it doesn't feel the same as when you get it at the actual Starbucks. But Starbucks is expensive, and a lot of people, say they charge way too much. And I mean, I've never been, in all honesty, I'm not the best judge of that. My parents always are trying to monitor my spending. Not that I go crazy or anything, I don't, but, I'm not always I'm probably not the most cautious person when it comes to spending. But this year, Starbucks also has, this apple crisp macchiato. So it's apple and caramel and, probably cinnamon too. And it's so good. I don't like caramel apples, although I've never really eaten one before, but the idea just seems like too much, especially because I like apple related drinks and apple pie, but I don't eat apples regularly, just apples. I mean, there might be times where I feel inspired to eat an apple because apple day keeps the doctor away, and they say, and sometimes, I try to figure out, I'll just eat an apple so I won't. But the problem is my dad always gets those huge ones, and I prefer the smaller ones. So it is weird that I like apple related drinks and apple pie but I just don't like eating apples that much. But the apple crisp macchiato is so good, and it's just one of my favorite drinks now this year. So but I have not had any of these drinks while reading. Usually I'm watching like YouTube or something when I'm drinking them because I get them from when I go to work because we have a Starbucks in my store, and then we actually have a Starbucks that was built in that shopping center, so it's like which the only thing I can think of why they did that is because there might be people who just want to get Starbucks. They don't want to go into the actual store, into our actual store, our grocery store. They just want to get Starbucks, whether the coffee or like some food or something. So yeah, it was funny, but I think that they have Starbucks in our shopping center now, but I also, I think I kind of understand what motivated them to do that. Okay, so basically, like everybody else, anything pumpkin spice latte, that's kind of not a surprise, but also the apple crisp macchiato is really good too, if you haven't tried it yet, and you have Starbucks. Okay, so question number 4, do you prefer to read late at night or early in the morning? And I say early in the morning, because late at night is when I'm starting to fall asleep. And I also want to watch TV because I'm a big TV watcher and movie watcher as well. And of course, watching YouTube videos. Like I had to tell myself, okay, this is the last video I'm watching because I want to make a video. I want to film this video this evening. Before my dad gets home. But so early in the morning, I'm awake. I'm a little bit more awake. Well, by the afternoon and late at night, I'm starting to feel like lethargic and ready to fall asleep again. And I just want to relax and not that reading is not relaxing, but you still have to have a level of concentration when you're reading. And like watching movies or watching YouTube videos is a little bit more mindless. Not mindless like like you're not using your brain at all, but just it's more like you don't have to use as much concentration when you're watching a movie because it's someone else's work, someone else's imagination. And then the other thing I was gonna say, I forgot what I was gonna say. Also, the other thing I was gonna say is that I've started to get in the habit of getting up at 7 every morning, unless, well, no, I still will get up at 7, but sometimes the reason I do that is to go for a run in the morning and get that out of the way. And also, I think it's almost better to do early in the morning because at least you just woke up. You've been asleep for several hours, hopefully the ideal 8 hours. So you're almost you're like starting to get yourself energized and alert. So that's the other thing that after I go run, it's another thing. So after I go running, then I can relax and open a book unless breakfast is ready. So yeah, early in the morning. Not now. I don't mean early as in as soon as I wake up, because as soon as I wake up, I need to eat something, or go for my run now. But yeah, I rather read in the morning. Okay, so question number 5. Halloween is coming. What is your favorite spooky read? And in all honesty, I don't really have a favorite. I'm still kind of working on trying different spooky books. Like I've read a few classics like The Haunting of Hill House. I'm still all about Stephen King. And then I reread Dracula first time since I read it when I was a teenager. I've read Frankenstein. I love that one. So I don't really. It's like if this was about movies, that'd be a little bit easier. I mean, I still wouldn't have trouble picking a favorite out of all the spooky Halloween-esque movies that I love. Although right now I could say there's one in particular that I've been favoring that I've always favored, but my love for it has reignited, and that is Nightmare Before Christmas by Tim. Well, it's very confusing because he didn't direct it. It was his idea, but Henry Selick is the one that directed it. So it's kind of Tim Burton's baby, Henry Selick's baby, and then Danny Elfman's baby. It's their passion project between the three of them. So yeah, if you want to know about my favorite spooky movies, then I can easily say that. Although I love Hocus Pocus too. I recently bought The Witches, and then I have recently bought a whole and not the remake. I have not seen the remake of The Witches. I know a lot of people do not like it. At least I don't think they do. I think people have a lot of problems with it. I mean, even when the preview first came out for it, they were like, "Oh, Anne Hathaway can't hold a candle to Angelica Houston," which I have mixed feelings about because I love Anne Hathaway. I think she's a brilliant actress. And, okay, well, maybe that's a bit much, but she's one of my favorite actresses. So I feel like people just automatically dismissed it but to be fair, it also comes from a place of Angelica Houston just did amazing, brilliant performance, and people just think no one can compare to her. And then they have the Jim Henson makeup effects and everything, and so in the movie definitely looks different. And I know that there was one there. The only criticisms, I don't know, people generally don't like it, but I know people were all So I don't know if people don't like it or this remake or not. But I have heard the only negative thing I've heard is that this one booktuber who I love watching her videos. Actually, she brought up. There was one complaint she had, the only complaint she had about the movie, or something that she felt was worth discussing, is how they treated the witches' deformities, and it was disrespectful to people with actual disabilities and with actual hand deformities, and that it's a legitimate thing, and there's always been this issue, especially in Victorian literature, where having disabilities you were seen as ugly and evil and whatnot, and as someone who's part of that group to an extent, unfortunately I've been fortunate enough that my disabilities aren't severe, as severe as some people, but I've been very lucky in that department. But I do feel like And just people's reaction to her doing that, her essay on it, people are just being so hateful towards her and thinking, "Oh, you're so bitter and you're so angry," and it's like you need to calm down. It's like you don't know her. You don't know what she has to deal with. And you don't know what her disability, you don't understand her disability, so she has a right to be critical. And it's just, but yeah, so far, but other than that, so far that's the only thing I've heard about the movie since it came out. It is, I think, on Disney Plus, so I would like to watch it because I am interested. Like I said, I like Anne Hathaway as an actress. But I got the original movie, and that scene, there's that one scene in that movie that still, I was like, I mean, it was still, watching it now, it wasn't as bad, but it used to the one scene where the boy Bruno gets turned to a mouse with the Jim Henson makeup effects. Always used to like just traumatize me as a kid. And I did not realize that. Yeah, we see them do it to Luke, but we don't see as much of Luke transforming as we do the other boy. So it was kind of a relief. But we did see him like wobbling around, like clearly like he's being transformed. So he's jiggling his body and stuff, which I wonder what the director or whatever told the kids, because obviously you got to give the kids something, or any actor. I feel like even if they're not a kid, you still have to give them something to explain what's going on, especially when it's fantasy. But anyway. Yeah, so as you can see, it's easier for me to talk about movies than it is when it comes to spooky movies than it is spooky books, because I don't read I'm still trying to get more into spooky books. And also, to be honest, spooky books they don't creep me out or scare. I mean, there is still an atmosphere built, and I still was like, wow, this is so great, so atmospheric, so creepy. But it doesn't, it's not like I'm sleeping with the covers over my head, like a movie does for me. Like a movie can scare me, unless I'm just not paying attention, just have it on in the background. Like Rose Red, nowadays I just have it on in the background if I'm inspired to watch it, and I just think it's a great story. But it doesn't, and the same with it doesn't scare me anymore, because now I know it verbatim. Now I couldn't quote it necessarily, but I do know, and I know the story enough. Both versions, it's not a surprise for me anymore. But yeah, so if you let me talk about movies, then I can talk all day. But granted, I'm not a professional critic of movies, but still. So anyway, let's get back to books. Okay, so question number 6. What is the ultimate comfort read for you? And I just picked one of my favorite books, and that is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. And I actually just read Agnes Grey by Anne Bronte, which I liked. I understand the things that people don't like about that one. And, it's not, Jane Eyre is still my favorite next to Wuthering Heights, but I at least can say I've read an Anne Bronte book, and now I want to read The Ten of Wildfell Hall. But Jane Eyre, it's a classic, I love it, and I love Jane's story. I have my issues with Rochester as a character, but he's still such an interesting character. Interesting, complex character, and just, he's so fascinating, but I definitely have my issues with him. With that being said, oh my god, I'm so glad I decided to buy this edition. Okay, so I still have a soft spot for the Arcturus editions that Books A Million has, with the colorful covers and the bright colorful covers, but I just love this one. First of all, speaking of spooky movies and / Tim Burton, this reminds me so much of something Tim Burton artwork. It makes you think so much of that, the aesthetic and everything, and just I could see him doing something like this. Which it's a deluxe edition with the deckled edges. I love deckled edges. I think they're so cool. They look like in the French flaps. I love the French flaps. And it's just such a beautiful edition, and I like that it has that. I don't know what the typography would be called, but just that. Oh, okay. So I did put on. I thought this was the start of the book, but no, this is actually a kind of explanation of the publishing of this deluxe edition. So I put in so good. I put in the right spot. My a stamp of my name. But yeah, it's just I love this edition. I'm so glad I got it. And I want to buy more of these. I think it'd be great if the other Bronte books were in this edition, or if they had like Jane Austen novels in this edition. Although I got I started collecting the vintage classics editions. But we are not talking about editions. But just, I love this story, Jane's coming of age, and just there's something special about this novel. Like, I know the romance has its concerns for me, but considering the time period this was written, in the fact that Jane was felt like she was so unloved and didn't get to experience a lot of love in her life and was so alone, and that she loved Rochester so much, and that he loved her too, and they were equal in their relationship, despite the fact that she was not of his same class, and she wasn't like beautiful and glamorous, like probably like how Bertha used to be, or how Blanche Ingram was. They just love each other no matter what. It's so beautiful, and I almost want to read it again, just looking at this in this edition. But sorry, my nose is irritated. I think it has something to do with that. I ended up getting a COVID test today, just in case. And, it was the one where they stick the thing up your nose, and I think whatever they did was I wouldn't say tickled, because, my dad was like, oh, it's gonna tickle, and then they do it, and it's like, no, that does not tickle. That, it hurt for like a sec, for that brief second, and I was ready, just as she said, okay, we're done now. That's when I was ready. Okay, take this damn thing out. Don't shove it up any further. Which I'm sure my mom will be like, it wasn't that bad. It can't be that bad. Because I was not happy to have to do this, but, my mom convinced me that I should at least do it at least once, And I think it aggravated the inside of my nose, because I keep having this urge to sneeze, and it's just not there. It's not coming, but I feel it. It's there, like something. But yeah, it's just kind of aggravating me right now. But yeah, I love this cover, and I love the shade of blue of this. But yeah, this is a comfort read, despite the, like I said, the romance is a little questionable. Okay, so question number 7. What is your favorite autumnal reading snack? Okay, so this is where the snack thing comes in. I just said anything pumpkin flavored, and like I said, apple flavor too. Even though I don't like eating apples right on their own, like pumpkin and apple flavors, I just love eating them, especially this time of year. Like we just made pumpkin muffins last night. I asked my mom to make some, if we can make some. Which, it's so funny working in a grocery store, and you see that basically everybody puts pumpkin in everything. Like pumpkin Pop-Tarts. Although that, I did not get that from my store. That was from watching a Darlene Desi vlog last year. She had tried pumpkin Pop-Tarts during the Gilmore Girls Readathon, and she did not like them. Apparently it was too sweet for her, I remember. So I have not seen those, but I'm sure they're there. Or at least I probably have, I just don't remember. But like I just saw pumpkin Cheerios. There's pumpkin cookies, pumpkin, cupcakes, pumpkin muffins, pumpkin donuts. Like I almost wanted to buy some pumpkin donuts today, but then my dad was like, because he had to get back to the golf course. So he's like, okay, be out there waiting for me when I get there. So probably not be able to drive. You have to rely on either your parents, your friends, your significant other, if you have a significant other, or public transport. And public transport here is not very good right now because people don't want to work. But yeah, they put pumpkin in everything. And I can understand why some people will like, okay, you don't need to put pumpkin in that. But I do like anything. But I do like, so I don't know if I would like anything, but I do like pumpkin flavor, and I like apple. Like you know, I haven't tried. I don't know if there's ever been any apple flavored cookies, but apple flavored oatmeal with cinnamon. Not with the raisins. I cannot stand the raisins. I do not like raisins. Um, apple pie. Um, I think I've had an apple muffin at least once. Um, yeah, there's not as many things with apples in it, but yeah, I'll eat apples too. Anything with apple flavor, I just do not like. I just don't eat apples regularly. Um, so yeah, so I don't, like I said, I don't eat that often while reading because it's just a bit of a hassle. But anyway, those are my autumnal snacks. Okay, so next, um, okay, what is your favorite autumnal candle to burn while reading? And I do not burn candles. I mean, I can barely spit them out. I end up just spitting on them. I mean, I meant to say blow them out, but yeah, I will literally spit on them. And or I'll be giggling so much that I can barely get any blowing out. But yeah, I don't burn. And I think my mom is frankly, my mom's afraid I'm gonna burn down the house, like start a fire in my room or something. And she likes, and like me, she has certain types of scents that she likes. So I mean, I could suggest to her, but I've never brought it up because I don't know if she likes the scent. What scents that she likes? I have thought about asking her, like maybe on Halloween or something, or maybe in November we could burn a candle at least once. Um, but yeah, she has her favorite sense of smell, and unfortunately, living with my parents, sometimes I have to go by what they like. And she won't let me burn candles in my room because I think she's afraid I'll set the rug on fire or something. So, Chexy. In Back to the Future, I remember in the first movie when when he went to the dance with his mom, and he sees him and his dad finally got together. He's just, as he's leaving, he's like, don't get too mad if you have a kid who burns the rug on accident. I thought that was funny because that's probably something that my mom's worried I'll do. So yeah, I don't burn candles, so I don't really have a favorite. But I do like the idea. There's one scent, a fall scent that I've come to like, that they have at Bath and Body Works that I like the idea of. So maybe when I get my own house, I can learn to blow out candles without spitting on them or laughing hysterically. But anyway, okay. When you're not reading, what is your favorite autumnal activity? Well, I like the idea of us doing this every year, but we don't always get to it, and it's even, less so now because now we moved to North Carolina. But the apple picking and pumpkin picking we used to do as a family, and sometimes we would do with the Anderson side of the family, like all my dad's siblings. But it used to be one of my favorite things to do, where we would go to this big farm at the apple orchards, and then we would pick a pumpkin, and we would get the apple cinnamon donuts, and we would get an apple pie, and my mom would make one, and then last year I remember when she went to go visit my sister last year, she was gonna. It might have not been that. It might have been back in September. No, it was last year. And they went. She took her and my sister with my sister's kids. They went, but she forgot the apples to bring them home to us, so we didn't get the homemade apple pie. I would kind of like to try to go this year when we go visit them soon, but it's kind of hard with the kids in school and everything, and we're not gonna want them to not come with us. But yeah, it used to be such a fun tradition trying to go to this apple orchard and get the apples and the donuts and everything. And sometimes we would go to this place where they to a winery. We get wine and pizza. That's what we did the last couple of years, especially since all the cousins, all of us kids are now adults, who have their own kids. So it's a little easier for us to do the wine thing, as you know. That was fun, but I don't know if we'll do that this year. But anyway, that was one of my favorite fall activities. And then of course the spooky movies. I love watching spooky movies, and it's just an excuse for me to have a Tim Burton movie marathon. And I can do that. And I was just joking with my friend saying I could do that more so now because I bought a DVD that has 4 of his movies. Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which actually with that one, it was the only Tim Burton movie that I was disappointed by. Now, I haven't seen Ed Wood or Mars Attacks, so I don't know how I feel about those two. And it has Beetlejuice, and which actually was the movie I wanted to get, but then I saw that collection with that one, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which I've been wanting to see, and it also had Corpse Bride in it, so Charlie and Chocolate Factory was the only one I didn't care about. But yeah, I told my friend, actually, Terry from Florida, I told her that, now I can have a Tim Burton movie marathon every year because I have Edward Scissorhands and Sleepy Hollow as well, as of course Nightmare Before Christmas. But so yeah, that as well, watching the spooky movies, and I used to be big into the 31 Nights of Halloween on what's now known as Freeform. But like now I have all the movies from that play on Freeform. I have almost all of them. Now I don't have Addams Family, the 2 Addams Family movies. I'm trying to think of. I don't have the Ghostbusters movies either. Those are the ones that they'll show, and then now they show that one movie with Adam Sandler and Selena Gomez and their vampires and Hotel Transylvania. I don't have those, but it's okay. I don't love those. They're fun, but and then there's the Haunted Mansion. I do not have either, but that's on Disney Plus anyway, and so is the Hotel Transylvania because it's Disney movies. I think Hotel Transylvania was a Disney movie, and then of course there's also like all the Disney Channel original movie spooky movies. So yeah, that's the apple picking and watching spooky and horror movies. Those are my favorite activities other than reading. Okay, so the last question, what is your autumnal fall reading list? And I've just basically said, October is Victober on BookTube, so I've been reading Victorian literature, but I also have recently bought a bunch of Dracula-related books, like the original Dracula, and that was the first book I read, Dracul by Dr. Stoker and J.D. Barker, which that's a really cool book because it's kind of a fictionalized version of the events that led up to Bram Stoker's inspiration for writing Dracula. And there's no reference to Carmilla in that one, but although I don't know, maybe Ellen Crone was inspired by Carmilla, like a mixture of Carmilla and their nanny growing up, because I think they really did have a nanny named Ellen Crone. But that I definitely recommend that if you're a Dracula fan, and you read the original classic, it might help you look at it a whole new way. And then I have this Anno Dracula. I don't know if I'm saying it right. It's set in the 1950s. And I was a little confused by the description because, there's a journal, this is another one where maybe, I think where it implies that Dracula is real. I don't know, going by the description, so I'm gonna have to, so I'm curious to read it, curious what it's about. It was actually one that I got at the dollar store. If you have not watched my video where I talked about that book, I got it at the dollar store. And then the Historian, which is one that I had forgotten that had to do with Dracula. It's one where this woman and her father have received proof that Dracula did exist and might still be alive. And So it's kind of like, so there's that one, and I think that's all of them. I sort of have them here in a pile. And I also got Salem. I rebought Salem's Lot by Stephen King. I had a mass market copy of it, so I went to buy another copy, a regular trade paperback copy, which is Stephen King's version of Dracula. But what if he came to suburbia? And it's pretty scary. There's one particular part that really traumatized me because it was really like, because it was really like basically implied that their version of Dracula, this Barlow, that's what they call him, that he's won for good and humanity is doomed. It really, that the scene in the movie, the Rob Lowe version of the movie, I have not seen the original from the 70s, but that, and then reading in the book, the original Stephen King's book, it's a particular part that just really, like, oh my god, I can't believe that happened, kind of moment. It's kind of scary. So yeah, I wanted to do a Dracula thing, and then Jennifer Brooks reminded, I don't remember which video, where she did a video on, I think, Dark Academia, and I decided I wanted to do a Dark Academia readathon as well, but I might wait until November for that. It's been, because right now these last 2 weeks are gonna be a little bit harder for me to, are gonna throw me off a little bit. So, and then I just finished reading Phantom of the Opera, which I did a review for that one, and I just uploaded it last night. And then, I also recently bought, Something Wicked This Way Come by Ray Bradbury, and he's another author that people say that he's a good author to read this time of year, as well. So I bought this one, and I remember seeing a movie version of this, but, the main character in the movie version, I recall, was a girl, and this is about 2 boys, I think. So, it's blurbed by Stephen King too. So, yeah. So I want to read that one, and then I also bought, I got this yesterday. If you watched my review of Phantom of the Opera, I showed you my little book haul, and this was in it. The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I remember reading a lot about it. And it's a bit of a mystery. This guy is trying to figure out who murdered this woman, Evelyn Hardcastle. And it has a bit of a supernatural element to it, because the guy, I think he wakes up in all these different bodies. And he has probably, I think, like 12 or 24 hours to figure it out or he has to figure out through each of these bodies, and I think there's like a time limit or something. Yeah, so I might read this one soon. I don't know yet. And then, so yeah, that is my reading that's the reading I'm gonna do for October. I don't know how many more books I'm gonna get done, because right now something's going on this week that is kind of throwing off my reading a little bit. Might throw it off a little bit, so I have to be selective with my books right now. So it's gonna be kind of hard though. So that is the Cosy Autumnal book tag. Again, I will post either a link of someone doing this tag, or if I can find the original creator of this tag, I will post that. And maybe I'll post the questions as well if you guys are interested. And if you guys like this video, be sure to give a thumbs up, click subscribe if you haven't already, click the bell notification below to see when I post new videos. I hope you are having a great spooky season right now, and unless you don't celebrate Halloween, then I hope you are having a great October. Um, and I will talk to y'all later. Right. Bye.